on a somewhat related note, so Marvin Sapp, who's he's big in the gospel music scene. He's one of. I don't think he's a televangelist. I think he's just like a Kirk Franklin type guy.
Yeah. He's a
Yeah,
he's a he's a preacher, singer, all that
yeah,
good.
yeah. So yeah, he's a Kirk Franklin type guy. And a video has resurfaced recently that has gone viral of him being at a church convention, and he was sort of trying to get the audience in attendance to donate and raise a particular amount of money, but the way he went about doing it has kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. So we'll get into it. But again, this is a clip that has resurfaced from last year, and it's gone viral. And in the clip, he's basically telling the ushers aggressively to close the doors as a way to try and get people to donate at this particular convention. And we'll play some video of this situation. But this says gospel star Marvin Sapp says he received death threats after viral "Close the Doors" video resurfaced. Bishop Marvin Sapp says he has received death threats as a result of the resurfaced viral clip where he ordered ushers to close the doors at an international church convention while rallying for the congregation to donate $40,000. During an interview on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show on Monday, the Grammy-nominated gospel artist called the situation a misunderstanding, but said he was little more assertive than I should have been while raising funds for the convention. He added that the reaction to the video has led to safety concerns. So we'll skip through the quotes because we're actually going to play the video. Sapp serves as the senior pastor of the Chosen Vessel Church, which is based in Fort Worth, Texas. He explained that the threats have been a burden on his children. In the video, Sapp called on churchgoers in the building and those watching online to help raise $40,000 by giving $20 each. The controversy stems from a viral video in which Sapp speaks in front of the congregation at the 109th Pentecostal Assemblies for the World Convention in Baltimore, Maryland last July. Additionally, he asked preachers standing beside him to give a $100 contribution. Giving is worship, he said. It sparked plenty of interest online with memes, parodies, and criticism abounding on social media. Some people argue that he held the congregation hostage. In a statement on his Facebook page last Wednesday, Sapp provided additional context behind his request for money. He said that as a minister, fundraising was part of his job at the international convention, calling it stewardship rather than manipulation. On the Ricky Smiley Show, Sapp shared his perspective on the now viral request he made to ushers. Sapp doubled down on his stance that the whole dilemma was a misunderstanding and clarified that although it is unclear how much money was raised for the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, Inc., he didn't receive any of it. Not a dime of that money came to me. The Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, Inc. issued a statement Saturday apologizing to those who may have been offended by the manner of receiving donations. It is never our intent for our proceedings to be an offense or hindrance for anyone, the statement reads. Fundraising is a critical component to the success of our nonprofit organization, and the funds raised are utilized to support not just this event, but our extensive international missions work, auxiliary programming, additional educational endeavors, and more. So we'll go ahead and stop that one. And what we'll do now is play a clip from Sapp's appearance on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, which also includes a brief clip of this, assembly from last July where he was telling ushers to close the doors, trying to raise money from this congregation.
Number one, that offering was taken last year. This was a service that happened last August. Number two, it didn't happen at my local church. It actually happened at a national organization's international meeting where churches from all over the country, all over the world came together for the purpose of celebrating the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. People took issue with me saying, shut the doors. understand, I never said lock the doors.
Yeah.
I said shut the doors. Shutting doors mean that people still have the ability to go in and out.
What's the difference, bro?
They've taken issue with the tone. And I can honestly say, looking at the video, maybe I was a little more assertive than I should have been. And I can apologize for that. I can apologize. The $40,000, if it was $40,000 that was raised, was never given to me. That money was raised for the purpose of taking care of the budget for their conference, not Marvin Sapp. Number two, it didn't happen at my church. It happened in Baltimore. Number three, people take issue with me being firm with the ushers. Anybody that goes to church, ushers one-on-one, that's the first thing they teach you as being an usher, is that there are 3 times you don't walk. You don't walk during the altar call. You don't walk during prayer. You don't walk during the offering. One of the reasons being is because of the sacredness of the moment. But it's also about security. As a pastor, we understand and we know that churches are being robbed at gunpoint. It's happening all over the country. This is not something I'm making up. This is factual. The reason why I'm here is because what has happened is people have taken clickbait and made something out of it that it isn't. And because of that, my church has been getting phone calls. People have called my church and cussed me out. My staff are afraid because I've received death threats over $20 and shut the door. People have come to our campus. They have come to my church to try to cause problems, issues, challenges. And again, my children, I don't look at comments. We talk about this. I don't read comments. When you got millions of followers, you ain't got time to be reading all the comments. You just don't have it.
Right.
My children do. And they are afraid.
There's 1,000 of you. I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed. I just think $20 is a lot of money. $20, believe it or not, when my late wife, Melinda P. Sapp, was alive, was a good date. I could take her to the movies, buy a box of popcorn, get 1 soda, 2 straws. I wasn't cheap. That's swag.
All right, there you go. Boy, I'll tell you one thing. This guy, he is so anointed by the Lord that he couldn't have foreseen the shitstorm he'd be getting himself into by conducting that particular offering in that way. So, what do you make of this, man? Are you buying his explanation? He says he's getting death threats. He says maybe he shouldn't have been as assertive, and he got into he tried to wordsmith his way out of it by delineating the difference between lock and shut. But what do you make of this whole thing, man? This guy is sitting around wondering, why am I trending in the wrong way for something that happened last year?
Well, I really think that his whole little situation there with Ricky Smiley, just a whole bunch of gaslighting. Just a whole bunch of gaslighting. You didn't see what you saw. Flip it back. Now I'm the victim, y'all. Now me and my congregation are receiving unaliving threats. Woe is us. And he spent a large majority of his time on Ricky Smiley, speaking about how much money he makes, how much money he has made, from his gospel career and from his other endeavors of investments and stuff like that. So he was basically trying to get at, like, he don't need 40,000. So 40,000 ain't for him.
Right.
this is the part, and so which is fair. Here's my rebuttal to that. My issue with this, and I think I'll speak for myself. The issue that I had with this situation is it's it's the spirit of asking people for money like that, low key demanding it. In a situation where they're acting as if they're collecting that money for a higher power or whatever. But this is been historically taxing the Black community. I don't know the figure. I should look it up. When you get to talking, I'll look it up about how many billions of dollars get donated or tied to Black churches annually. But it is a dumb number. And that money that is being taxed from our community year after year, where does it go? Does it build mega churches? Does it fund lifestyles, cars, shoes, gators, you know what I'm saying, minks, multiple bedroom homes? This clip, the reason why I feel as though it went viral, even though it happened last year, is because that clip literally crystallizes the stereotype that goes on in these churches. And a lot of people, if you know what I'm saying, Black people, man, we done been to churches, in the community. We done seen these things happen where, the whole time this the third time they done passed a plate during service. They just keep passing the plate. They just keep passing it. Then they asking for the guests and the who'd you bring? Hey, sign up to be part of the church. Everybody that donated, come up here. Just getting weird. All kinds of extortion tactics. You know what I'm saying? And then the money, I'm sure, gets embezzled and it doesn't go to the Lord. So this guy here, you know what I'm saying? Although he may not need the 40,000, what he is doing is he's participating in the practice. He's so used to it. He's so used to getting the money up out of people. It was a situation where he was like, you know what, I'm gonna get 40, I'm gonna get 40,000 out of these people today, to pay for this convention or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? And by hook or by crook. And $20, that's not that bad. So to me, I really feel as though this played right into the stereotypes. This is why people are moving away from the church, amongst other things. But one of the biggest things that I know that would turn me off was the fact that these guys live lifestyles better than their congregation. And historically, what I was told as a young person was like, hey, man, this guy's ordained by the Lord. So, it's only right. He's out here giving a message. So it's only right that he look good and drive clean and stuff like that. But that stuff never jived with me. It never made sense. And I never got down with that. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I've seen the memes. There's some funny stuff out there, man. And I think a lot of people didn't care for his assertiveness. So, I'm online with the online criticism. I agree with it. I feel as though that, this just help, expose what goes on in every church that I've ever been a part of. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Sir Marvin Sapp around here saying that, hey, man, him and his congregation are receiving unaliving threats all because of a Euro video, man? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, as somebody who grew up in the Missionary Baptist Church,
That's right.
I am no stranger to the aggressive nature that the church can conduct itself when offering time comes around.
Mm-hmm.
So this to me was familiar territory, honestly, when I watched it, because my church used to do the same thing. And my church, and listen, I think churches do this kind of stuff, but growing up in my church, my the pastor during offering time would insinuate that you know not contributing an offering or a tithe, or contributing a meager offering or no tithe at all, was not acting in accordance with God's will, as if to suggest you should or must give more, or else you will fall out of favor with the Lord. And so, I think some of that stuff used to put undue pressure on a lot of people in the congregation to contribute more during offering in ways that they were otherwise uncomfortable with. Because, I mean, this man who's ordained says that we'll fall out of favor with God if we don't do this, and we don't want to fall out of favor with God, so we should do this, which honestly speaks to a lot of people in the community's devotion to the church historically, that kind of rhetoric is so influential that it would sort of motivate us into acting in that way. But I've been there and I've heard it, so I was not unfamiliar to this. It was cringe to hear it, but again, it's familiar territory. I think the reason why people took issue with his delivery, and this somewhat goes back to the last topic that we talked about with Kingston. I think people nowadays are like more on alert when it comes to the potentiality for grifting. I think people are more alert now than ever with scammers, scam artists, people who don't act in good faith, and people who are grifters. And I'm reminded of people like Umar Johnson.
That's right.
And you highlighted a crazy story when we talked about Umar a couple weeks ago, where you were, you sort of believed in his tenets and you were ready to commit to something. And then you get to an event in person and you realize it wasn't what you thought it was.
Not even close.
Yeah. And you came to the realization at that point that this individual had been grifting. And he was sort of using his platform to grift in a way that would earn him money and get him a living, which you found to be very disappointing once you realized that that's what it was. Now, I'm not saying that that's what all churches are doing. I'm not suggesting I'm not suggesting that that's what my church was doing. I'm just saying that in this day and age, that kind of assertive approach to a church offering might sort of perk people up and have them wondering how much of this is or is not a grift. When you talk about closing doors,
right?
So so what? I can't leave unless I.
Yeah, what are you saying?
Because like my first reaction to that is gonna be, so you saying I can't leave this room unless I give an offering?
Right.
Like that's kind of wild business to do it that way.
Right.
And here's where I will give him a little bit of credit. I don't think he realized that people would take it that way, because he was being no different than my pastor in my church when I was growing up.
Yeah, I've seen it.
My pastor used to do the same stuff. And from his vantage point, he's saying, I'm being stern, forthright in my charge and what I'm put on earth to do. And so I'm righteous in my cause as a result. But some people, especially nowadays when scamming is at an all-time high, some people are going to be alerted to that, and they're going to be like, bro, what you mean close these doors? What you mean? What do you mean close the door? Like, I'm here, ain't I? You ain't got to have the doors shut. I came to be here. That was a convention. Conventions aren't free events. So people paid to be there.
That's what I would assume.
So like, unless there's a special convention that's free to the public, but every convention that I've known of, and I used to work conventions for a living, that's an attendee event. You pay to get into the door. So if I'm committed at that point, no need to tell ushers to shut the door so that I give you my offering. So all the way around, I can understand why people were rubbed the wrong way by it, honestly. I don't think he intentionally Yeah, I don't know that he intentionally meant for it to be that way, but at the same time, man, a lot of these pastors, they feel so emboldened by their cause that they'll just they feel like they are righteous enough to be assertive in ways that may or may not make people feel uncomfortable. But like I said before, my main takeaway from this is I believe we are at the height of scam culture. We're at the height of grifting culture. We are at the height of all kinds of people running up on you and asking for you to donate to their cash apps. People who say, "Give me money for this and give me money for that." Hey, I'm a traveling musician. I play the banjo. Let me force you to listen to me play this banjo, and then if you're so inclined, please donate to my cash app. Like this kind of stuff, quasi panhandling, is at an all-time high. That this kind of behavior can potentially set people off,
Yeah.
and it can just rub people the wrong way. So take it from a guy. I grew up missionary Baptist. I grew up in the church. I used to see it all. Somehow, some way, the offerings used to last an extra 5 or 10 minutes every Sunday. You know, I wonder why. And I feel you on the bad look that the pastor driving around in a Range Rover can have.
Kind of crazy, bro.
I feel you on that. It's like I get that you need to earn a living too, but what I was gonna say when you were saying that is, does it have to be that clean?
It doesn't have.
Like the church that my mom goes to right now, I won't mention the name of it, but the pastor drives a Range Rover.
Yeah.
And not the sport, the big body, the real deal. Not the sport Range Rover, the big one, the one that costs damn near 6 figures.
With the sunroof.
All of that. Yeah.
Right.
Probably got the whole technology package with the trim. With the trim. So yeah, I get that, man. That's a bad look too. All the way around. It just is what it is. But we're at the height of grift culture and scam culture. And so people might not be so welcoming and inviting of those kinds of tactics.
Yeah, I agree, bro. And this is why I was my last thing, bro, is also I had looked up the figure, loosely looking it up. But according to Google, they're saying that the black church, it collects 11.5 billion to 19 billion a year annually.
I believe that.
Annually.
Yeah.
And to me personally, I look at that as now tithes are supposed to be something that you give 10%.
Yeah.
So you're giving of yourself. You're giving up, so you're not being selfish. And then that money is supposed to go to God's people. And one of the things that go on in these circles of wealthy people is that they are aware of cosmic laws of cause and effect, vibration, reciprocity, a whole bunch of other things. And one of the cosmic laws out there is that you can't just have everything to yourself. So one of the things that these people love to do when they're billionaires is be a philanthropist. And they give money and they donate money to causes that they run or whatever, but they still donate money. It's tax write-offs, it's other incentives why they write it off. But they come off the money, because if you don't come off the money's going to come off of you. So you have to give, or you're just going to lose it. So the whole premise behind tithing is nothing wrong with that. Actually, it's a universal kind of law. You have to do it. So, but when people are sitting there doing it, they're doing it on church services. They're doing it because there's people that look at it like how I explained it, like, hey, you just give it, whatever, go to God's people or whatever. And then there's some people that just literally feel like they're being extorted. Because the preacher sit there and say, hey, man, if you don't come up off this money, you're not going to receive no favor from God.
Right. Yeah.
So at this point, now they're feeling guilty. Now it's like a chain letter we used to receive back in the day. I used to hate them damn things. Somebody's sending me a thing. Hey, man, you read this. Now you got to send this to 10 people. And if you don't send it to 10 people, then you're going to have XYZ for Ah. So whenever I receive a chain letter, I would not read it. So I won't, you know what I'm saying? Self-jinx myself. But when the preacher, the Mr. Ordained man, is sitting there saying that if you don't give 10% or give more, you know what I'm saying, you're not going to receive any blessings. And when people walk out of that place, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, that eviction notice finally got on the door. Oh, no, preacher man said this was going to happen. Yeah, he said this was going to happen. And the reason why your ass is getting evicted because you kept giving them all your damn money for A. And B, you're not getting this eviction notice because God's not looking out for you. You need to go get a job. So the whole thing is that they play on people, and so they play on people, and that's why you'll see that there's a certain type of demographic that pretty much goes now. You know, it's people that's either always been going or in a certain age group or something like that. You know, my aunties or grandma, all of them, they all going to church. You know, and so because that's kind of what it is now. The younger generation of people, I think there's they can see that. They can see some of that. And also there's a whole bunch of other things coming out, another influences that are coming around that are, taking them away from the church. And whenever they see stuff like this, excuse me, it reinforces the same reasons why. That's why I don't go. That stuff right there, because it's that 40,000. If they even raise that, it's just going to that convention, and they can say they're using it for education and stuff like this and all this other stuff. But when we're talking about 11 to 20 billion dollars annually that's being collected, our community can really use that. And there's churches that are sitting there, especially in Tallahassee, bro. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, especially over there by fam. There's a church on every damn corner. But at the same time, there's junkies walking right across the street. The guy that's selling is right there. And I know they're collecting money. And that neighborhood don't have to be like that, especially if there's 4 churches in that area. But it's going to stay that way. So my whole thing is that if tithes were actually going to the community as they should, our circumstances wouldn't be the way that they are. But we giving all of this money, and these people are flying in jets, driving Range Rovers, and our people are still in situations where they feel like they got to act like Sean Kingston. So, yeah, man, I feel like this situation, the reason why it came out a year later and went viral, because it's everywhere now. And I really feel like the reason why it did that, because this type of stuff has to get exposed. I'm not totally against church. If you're listening to what Jesus said, I love you, damn it, because Jesus was on fire. You know what I'm saying? So the messages aren't bad. You just got to live a life. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, man, these guys right now, they're looking like people who pimp those words instead of living it like how they should. So, yeah, man, I feel like this situation just highlighted it all. So, hey, man, he can say what he want. Ricky Smiley can say what they want, but I know what I saw, and that looked like atypical church pimping to me. So,
yeah, as far as I've seen, money that the church is able to raise via the congregation's contributions go to programs and initiatives that help make the church itself better.
right,
Which serves to bring in a greater congregation, which
right,
serves to bring in more money to the church.
right.
Like, I'm not like to the best of my, well, not to the best of my knowledge, but every church that I've been a part of, they've used the money to build a new facility and build a new sanctuary and build a new wing in a certain aspect of the church somewhere for a bigger Sunday school class. Like, there doesn't seem to be contributions to the greater community per se, not that I've seen. It's just been about, so I'm not saying that, I wouldn't say that pastors per se pocket all the money,
Right.
but I do think that the priority is having the money go back into the church to make the church itself better, which serves to increase the congregation, which serves to make the church even more money, I feel. So it kind of seems like it is, I don't want to use the term cash grab, but cash grab. It's a means to get more. It's a means to get a greater congregation, which I believe is a means to get greater, tithing and donation contributions. So it's a full circle type thing, but that's pretty much what my experiences has been with the church. I just think, moreover, you know, um, as these generations of folks who are culturally devoted to the church begin to move on, and churches are now having to depend on younger generations who are a bit more selective and savvy with where their money goes and how they spend their time, they're not going to take so kindly to this aggressive nature that these institutions have historically gone about, you know, getting money out of folks. Especially nowadays, man, there's so much going on with people. I get an email every day. I get a text every day. I get something from somewhere every day that's suspicious, asking me to come up out of money. People are so alert. People are so on alert nowadays with anyone who is asking them to give them money that even stuff like the church can sort of just come off a little grifty at times. When it comes to how you ask for people to donate to, when it comes to how you ask people to go about giving donations, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I agree, man. So, hey, but let us know down in the comment section, y'all. Was I a little too harsh on Mr. Marvin Sapp here? Was your church experience different of that of JV wins? Please let us know down in the comment section. I'll be glad. I'll be pretty interested to hear what you guys got to say about it. But honestly, most of the conversation I've seen on the internet has been, I guess putting Mr. Marvin in his place enough for him to say, I can apologize for that. So yeah, man, I was a little out of pocket if you ask me.
Yeah, well, good for him. Good for him. Good for him. Kind of hard to not do that when everyone's saying that was kind of sleazy. So you still can't explain that Range Rover or that Benz though. So
sheesh.